series actually. But ever since the series kind of ended, I just haven't done another one since, so I'm going to be doing another reading you to sleep video where I am literally going to open up a book and just read to you. That's going to be the entire video. So this is the type of video meant for you to just completely clear your mind, not think of anything else, and just focus on my voice and focus on the story. So we're gonna get to that in a moment. Really quick, I wanted to share something with you guys that I was very nicely sent in the mail. It is from this brand, 𝓢𝓸𝓬𝓲 𝓬𝓮𝓬𝓪. I don't know. They sent me this really pretty ring, actually. I will open it for you. So in this box, there is a smaller box. And they were nice enough to allow me to pick it out myself, just so that it would actually be something that I would wear. And it's got a little ring in there, so let me show you. It's very similar to the one that I normally wear, but it has color. It's got little sapphires in there, just on the front. In the back, it's just plain silver. Look how pretty that is. So I've been wearing it on my middle finger, which is where I usually wear my plain, like, sterling silver ring on this finger. But it's got a little bit of color, so I think that's fun. So I was very gracious that they wanted to send me something so that I could share with you. So I will leave a link to their website down below if you want to check them out, and I'll leave the link to this specific ring. I'll try to find the link again in case you want to see it for yourself. So I will have all of that information linked down below for you if you are interested. Alright, so I'm gonna leave it there because that's where I've been keeping it. So, also I always get a lot of questions about this ring too. This was not sent to me at all, but it is from Pandora, and it's just a heart. There you go. It's from Pandora. I've had that for a little while now. So that's what's going on. I always have like the little things that I'm wearing linked in my description box. So like these earrings, I'll have linked, not the necklace because there's no link to that, but the earrings, my watch band, like things like that. I also am in the process of creating an Amazon storefront for you guys so that you can just click that link and literally everything, all my Amazon favorites from makeup to clothes to accessories, all of that will be in one place so that you can just click that every time. I'm in the process of working on that. It may be in my description already if you want to go check down below, but that's there for you. Okay, so this book, my mom and I went through a phase of starting to try to read again, and so a coworker of hers or a friend or something would lend us books and we would kind of share them. I don't know if she read this one, but she might have finished it. I have not. I think I started it, but I just got sidetracked and never actually really got into it. But the one before this, I read my last Reading You to Sleep video, which was like a new camera lens test. That was back in like March maybe. That book that I read in that video, I read the whole thing and it was really good. So it's just hard to find time to read. So maybe I'll get into this one, who knows. But for the purpose of this video, we're going to start from the very beginning and we will just see how far we get. So I will read you the back. It says, as I get comfortable, okay. Raised on a vast Australian friends are Pablo Picasso, Julia Child, and the future Jackie Kennedy. But when Grace falls in love with the handsome Philip Boyer, she doesn't know that he is leading a double life, nor that his past might hold secrets and lies that will turn her life upside down. Based on a true story, The Paris Model is an unforgettable tale of glamour, family secrets, and heartbreak. I didn't even know it was a true story. I didn't remember that. So, without further ado, let's get started. So, let's find. Well, I'll read the prologue first. Sydney, September 1st, 1922. If anyone had asked her who she was, the woman would have been unable to tell them, nor could she have determined whether it was night or day. She existed in another realm, one in which identity had been extinguished and time itself was marked solely by the ebb and flow of relentless inner waves. She glimpsed faces stilled by concentration. They meant nothing to her. She was in a jurisdiction of her own. Her mind, her very being, was fixed upon a single resolution. No matter the hour, nor the exquisite agony, she would continue until her child was born, healthy, safe, whole. At last her body surrendered its possession. Only then did she experience a sweet release. Happiness was her narcotic. She felt intoxicated with pleasure and relief. "It's a girl," the voice said. "What a pretty little thing." Then another voice, more urgent. "My God, come quickly. I need help." That was when the woman raised her head. She saw that she was in a place of soft tumbling snow and swan's down, for everything was white. It was the color of the walls, the nurse's uniforms, the doctor's coat, the towels, the linen on the bed. But as she looked around her, this impression changed. Her bleached world had become a pale sky at sunrise, one that was now streaked with red. The woman heard her baby cry then, just once, but it was enough. She closed her eyes and whispered, "Let all be well." It was her most fervent hope. Alright, so there's book one. It says, I guess it's broken up into different books. So, the first book is called The Debutante, The Beginner. I'm gonna move my mic for like a second. That doesn't look very good, does it? I don't want to hit it with my book. Okay. Chapter 1. Paris, December 1948. Grace Woods danced out of the Paris metro with a buoyant step and visions of an enticing future whirling through her mind. "Oh," she gasped. Having been in Paris for just 3 days, she still found the icy air a shock. Grace had never felt its knife-like penetration in Australia. Home signified heat and a pure, brilliant light, lofty cobalt skies, the sharp, sweet smell of eucalyptus, the shrill cries of milky cockatoos, vibrant rosellas, and rainbow-colored lorikeets. Here on Wintry Avenue, Montaigne, assuming that's a place in Paris that I don't know how to pronounce, everything she gazed upon, the charming townhouses, the bare trees, the bouquets and cafes, was veiled by a pearly luminescence as captivating as it was strange. Even less familiar was the version of herself Grace spied in the glass of a shop window. As she moved backwards and forwards, her image blurred, then rippled into focus once again. She was satisfied that her dark curls remained swept into that neat chignon. Her crimson lipstick was intact, and her emerald eyes were clear, but still she felt a faint eddy of concern. Her navy blue dress, with its long, pointed collar and cinched waist, was the product of a Sydney dressmaker's labors. Would it withstand the scrutiny of a connoisseur? Drawing closer, Grace considered her appearance once again. Yes, she was certain The frock bore sufficient resemblance to a pair's original, so that with the addition of a new black hat, I think I skipped a page. Oh, I didn't. Black hat, the azure feather would have been added on a whim. It would surely pass as a chic. She gave her reflection a happy nod and continued on her way. Striding along the pavement, Grace passed a restaurant with a stand outside its door, displaying succulent bell and oysters arrayed on frosty beds of ice, a florist with bunches of soft pink anemones in the window, and a small art gallery exhibiting tender pastels of ballerinas. Then, quite suddenly, there before her eyes was an obtrusive nameplate on a pale gray stone facade. At last she had arrived at her famous destination. Grace yearned to know what marvels she might find inside. She peered up, blinking in the early morning light, but saw only the carved bust of an ancient goddess set above the entrance, rows of tall mullioned windows, and a line of balconies encircled by delicate frauds of curling black wrought iron. Number 30 Avenue whatever that place is called, was an edifice that emanated discretion. It gave no secrets away. Unwilling to wait a moment longer, Grace skipped towards the distinguished frock-coated gentleman stationed outside the front door. He was a man of perhaps 45, with steel gray hair. "Bonjour," she called out cheerfully. "I have an appointment with Madame 𝓢𝓸𝓬𝓲𝓪. Could you take me to her, please?" "Of course, mademoiselle. Follow me." Grace was led beneath a scalloped awning, through an archway, and into a large room. Then she stopped. "Is there a problem?" the doorman inquired with a slight frown. "Not at all. It's glorious." Grace stared with wide-eyed admiration at the crystal chandeliers above her, their arrows of glittering light falling on gilded mirrors and doors glazed with beveled squares of glass. She took in the lush cantilene of palms that emerged from brass urns, curtains hanging in lustrous silvery folds, and a group of white lacquer, medallion-backed Louis XVI, I believe, chairs of such refined proportions. Grace concluded they had surely been designed for the exclusive accommodation of that category of woman who could only be described as a French word spelled Soignee. Sorry, guys. Perhaps most appealing of all were the spectacular arrangements of flowers and abundance of white roses, hyacinths, and lilies of the valley spilled from cut crystal vases artfully placed on marble-top tables. The blossom's intoxicating fragrance accompanied Grace long after she left the enchanting room behind. She stayed close to the concierge's measured footsteps as he climbed a set of winding stairs, then walked down a narrow corridor. When he reached a door painted a delicate gray, he knocked sharply with a white-gloved hand, inclined his head towards Grace, and was gone. "Entrez." It was a woman's voice, firm, and from the sound of it, belonging to someone long accustomed to occupying a position of authority. Grace's heart skipped a beat. For the first time, her self-belief threatened to dissolve. She felt ridiculous, an impossibly foolish impostor with, what had her unhappy husband said, a head filled with nonsense. Willing her anxiety away, she told herself not to be absurd. There was too much at stake to succumb to doubt now. Grace straightened her shoulders, opened the door, and stepped inside. The woman who greeted her was impeccable, dressed in a swirling calf-length black skirt and fitted burgundy jacket. She walked briskly towards her and extended one manicured hand. "You are Mademoiselle Grace Dubois, are you not?" Without waiting for a response, she continued, "Everyone in the maison calls me Madame Raymond. I invite you to do the same." Grace was then instructed to stay where she was as the woman circled her. She felt acutely aware that Madame's enigmatic blue eyes were scrutinizing her shape, her hair, the cut of her dress, its modest provenance. Grace now realized was impossible to hide. Her hat with its feather, her shoes, her gloves, in fact, every detail of her appearance. Was anyone else getting, Devil's Wears Prada vibes. At last, Madame Raymond spoke. Yes, you are tall and slim. Your deportment is commendable, and your face, it is certainly striking. She stood back, regarding Grace from a different angle. Naturally, these attributes are essential, although if you did not possess a unique quality, we would never have extended our invitation. No, you display a special vitality that makes you different from our French girls. Just the same, I wonder if you have sufficient elan, asked Grace with a quick laugh. Sophistication, panache. I can't blame you for wondering whether an Australian country girl has what it takes to become a Parisian mannequin, she said. You're probably imagining me in a paddock running up some sheep, or riding out a wild horse. But I promise you, madame, you will find that I am just as comfortable and as effective when I'm modeling a ball gown. A wave of the older woman's hand indicated she had heard enough. Mademoiselle, what is under discussion is a challenging and difficult role. You must show off the most desirable clothes in the world to its richest, most glamorous, and most demanding inhabitants. There are few young women, as lovely and poised as they might be, who can remain undaunted by such a task. Grace wondered whether her confidence had appeared excessive. Nevertheless, Madame Raymond smiled for the first time. Now that I have had the opportunity to observe you, I am prepared to set aside these reservations. She kissed Grace lightly on both cheeks. Welcome to the house of Christian Dior, she said. Oh, I guess she ate it. Alright, we're already on chapter 2. This says Brookfield, New South Wales, August 1934. Sunset was Grace's favorite time of day. As she cantered on her chestnut pony, Illyria, across the wide paddocks of her parents' vast Australian property, the sky above looked as if it had been painted gold and red by an angel wielding an enormous brush. What made the experience even better was that her father, with his broad felt hat set firmly on his head and a gleaming rifle slung across his back, rode beside her on his black stallion. Tell me about great-grandfather George, she called out to him, slowing her pony. What again? Her father asked, piling up his powerful horse so it matched Illyria's pace. Please. She listened avidly as Alfred Woods related the familiar tale of his intrepid forebear. Due to being a younger son, he'd been obliged to leave his father's flourishing Dorset farmland in England, board a sailing ship, and cross the seas to seek his fortune in Australia. I'm going adventuring far away one day, just like great-granddad, Grace declared. Perhaps you will, Alfred smiled, but I think George missed his home. That's why he named the farm Brookfield. After all, there aren't any bubbling streams or neat little fields here, are there? No, we've got billabongs and a creek and heaps of wheat, Grace giggled. She screwed her eyes up, focusing on the heavy yellow crop that grew all the way to the horizon, where the brilliant blue sky pressed down in an unforgiving line. And don't forget the sheep, Alfred added, over to the west, where the land was more undulating and the occasional clump of spindly eucalyptus dotted the paddocks, grazed thousands of woolly beasts. Speaking of which, I had better stop at the next water hole. The foreman said there's an ewe we need to keep an eye on. I'll race you, Grace said with a grin. With a touch of her heels to Illyria's flanks, the pony surged forward. Grace couldn't think of anything more exciting than galloping over Brookfield's paddocks with the wind streaming past her cheeks and the sounds of hooves thudding in her ears. Beat you, she called triumphantly when they reached the edge of the water hole. Sliding out of her saddle, she tied her pony to a solitary gum tree. So you did, her father said indulgently. Now just stay here a minute while I see to that sheep. She's due to give birth any day now, and by the look of her, it could be twins. Grace lay on her back, listening to the distant sound of a bird song as she inhaled the delicious aroma of fresh grass grown thick and lush after a recent bout of rain. Staring up at the sky, she decided the streaky pink clouds looked like great-grandfather George's sailing ship, before they changed into a shape more like a fairy castle. She was contemplating ever more fanciful possibilities when she heard her father say sharply, "Don't move." Grace felt something smooth and satiny slither slowly across her bare leg. "Daddy, the word stuck in her throat. "Yes, it's a snake," said Alfred, adopting a matter-of-fact tone. "And you know what to do. Stay quite still until I say you can move." Grace fought the urge to jump to her feet, to grasp the deadly thing and fling it far away. She wished she'd worn 𝓢𝓸𝓬𝓲𝓪, I don't know what that is, instead of shorts that day. I'm assuming that's some sort of long pant. Her skin prickled as the creature gradually traversed her knee and made it across her thigh. She knew that if it sank its fangs into her flesh, she would die. From the corner of her eye, she glimpsed her father raising his rifle. "Now, Dad, now," she whimpered. "No, child," Alfred replied steadily. "You wait until he is clear of you. Just a moment more. Now turn, quick, Gracie, now." As she twisted away, Alfred swooped. He flicked the snake aside with the barrel of his gun, then killed it with a single shot. Springing to her feet, Grace wrapped her arms around her father. "You're a brave girl, Gracie." He kissed the top of her head. "I'm proud of you. Seeing as you're turning 12 next month, we're all going to the city and I'm having a special tea with City." "That's right," Alfred said with a patient smile. "It's been ages since you two have seen each other, but right now I have something else in mind." "What do you mean, Dad?" "It's time to start teaching you to shoot. You've just seen how dangerous living out here can be. You need to know how to look after yourself. This is a serious matter, though, so do exactly as I tell you." He handed Grace the rifle. "Here, tuck this into your shoulder and support it with your hands like I do." Grace had never touched her father's gun before. It was far heavier than she'd imagined, hard and cold. "Now, close one eye and look through the sight." Nervously, Grace focused on the deadly snake she saw lying on the ground. Press the trigger. Again, the bullet met its mark, but Grace wasn't expecting the rifle to kick back. It felt as if she was struggling to keep a wild, savage creature in her grasp. "I have shot a shotgun. It hurts." "If you don't do it right," which I guess I did. "I'll take it now, sweetheart. I can tell you've had enough for one day." Alfred strapped the gun across his shoulder. "We had best get back to your mother," he said, frowning. "She'll be wondering where on earth we've got to." He helped Grace mount 𝓢𝓸𝓬𝓲𝓪 before swinging up onto his own horse. Taking the reins, he said, "You know how much Mom worries about you, so maybe it's best to keep today's events just between us, all right?" Grace nodded her head gravely. "I know how to keep a secret, Dad." All right, Chapter 3. As she ambled into the front room the following Sunday afternoon, Grace caught sight of the half-finished jigsaw she'd left on a table. Flinging herself down onto the nearest sofa, she leaned forward and began moving around the scattered pieces of the puzzle. While Grace pondered whether one oddly shaped bit of scalloped blue cardboard fitted into either the sea or perhaps the sky, she became aware that outside of on the jasmine-draped veranda, her parents were talking. "It's simply impossible for me to spend as much time with Grace as I'd like, what with my rose garden and my committees." That was her pretty, fair-haired mother. "Then there's overseeing the kitchen staff and the maids. It takes a lot to keep such a big homestead running properly." "Isn't that why we have Pearl? She's always been very good with the child," Alfred said mildly. "Not any longer," her mother retorted. "She's become reckless." Grace looked up. This was unexpected. "Pearl has started trooping all over the countryside with her, and the things they do, tracking kangaroos out by the creek, chasing after iguanas, and what have you, it's not safe." Grace smiled to herself as she imagined what her mother would have to say if she found out about the hair-raising adventures she'd so recently shared with her father. "Olive, dear, you must stop mollycoddling our daughter." Alfred's voice was accompanied by the distinctive rattle of a china cup being placed emphatically upon a saucer. "It will end up doing more harm than good. In any case, Pearl's people know the land better than we ever will. I have every confidence in her." "Alfred, I know Olive," he insisted. "That is my last word." Grace swung around the door the next morning, her shoes polished and her curls brushed until they gleamed. "Mom, you don't exactly look ready." She screwed up her eyes. Have you forgotten we're going into parks? Olive waved a sheaf of paper. The Country Women's Association has asked me to advise them on a new treasurer. I've been sorting through the candidates. She smiled. I'm sorry, I know you were hoping to meet up with Charlotte Fairweather, but we're leaving for your birthday trip to the city tomorrow, and I've simply no time. Dad said something about showing you his new atlas. Why don't you see if he's in his study? First, I'll tell you something that will make you laugh. Olive's eyes had drifted back to the applications. When I told Pearl we'd be seeing a city in Sydney, she called him the silliest thing. Still chortling, Grace told her mother what Pearl had said. The applications Olive had been clutching in her hand crashed to the floor. Honestly, this girl is the limit, she fumed. As Grace made her way to Alfred's study, she wondered why her mother was so upset. Anyone could get into a muddle. It didn't mean anything. Alright. I think we're going to stop there because now it goes into a different section down here. So we will leave it at that for now. I just wanted to give you guys a nice little short reading video. I hope that you guys enjoyed. If you want to see more reading videos, then just let me know and I can do that for you. I don't have too many books, but we can figure it out. So